Franchise Show. I hope you're all doing very well today, and I hope you're having a great day, and it's fantastic to be here with you. I wanted to start, as I always start, by introducing the show and tell you a little bit about what the show is all about. By its very title, it's about franchising, but it's a bit broader than that. So we're looking at all sorts of different topics and how those topics can interrelate and come together and really sort of add value to our community. The other thing to say is I wanted to create a sort of a safe space for debate and discussion about the world of franchising and the world of business as well, because they're very interchangeable and interrelatable. So each week we have a different topic and we have a bit of a deep delve into that topic and see where it goes. And I like to introduce a lovely guest onto the show to have a chat through these topics. And we have a lovely guest. And I guess it's time to introduce our lovely guest. And our lovely guest is the wonderful Gretchen Skalka. And I've known Gretchen for quite a while. I was introduced to Gretchen via Don Cohen's show, Hour of Empower. Fantastic show. And you really must catch that if you can. And Gretchen, the reason that I invited Gretchen onto the show is because Gretchen is an advocate of leadership, of people's careers, leadership development, and is a marketeer as well. And quite a few of you know that I've got a bit of a passion for helping people. And every Sunday I do a post that tries to help anybody who's lost their job or is looking for a new job. So really looking after people is a bit of a passion of mine, and understanding people and understanding how you can appeal to people really is something that I'm interested in. So it's a topic really that interests me a lot. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Gretchen and give a bit of an introduction and see what we think about people in franchising.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really glad to be here. And yeah, it's sort of a testament to people and community and the power of that connection, how we do know each other through Don Cohen. Omar, I see in the chat as well. I know him through Don.
Of course, me too.
Omar
yes, I've been on his show as well.
Yeah, a little project. I have not been on Zoom Party, but maybe one day.
I need to put that up.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely, we're on the same page when it comes to that. I mean, I think that when it comes to business, when it comes to franchise, when it comes to any real endeavor that you have, if you remove the human component of it, you remove everything. There's really nothing that's possible without that. So good, careful, and genuine attention should always be paid to the people in any enterprise. I think that it's just so important. So yeah, it's a great topic. Glad to talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think in franchising as well, I think that the term people can relate to all sorts of different areas. You've got people that are franchisors, then you've got your franchisees, and you've got your customers, and you've got your colleagues. And all of that has to sort of marry up in a kind of beautiful, ever-changing jigsaw for that to work. And I think the more you can understand about how to get the best of people as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's about nurturing people as well and asking good questions. I mean, when I meet new potential franchisees, it's all about trying to understand what it is they want, what their thoughts, what their dream is. Because if you can understand that, you can also understand how they might get there, how they might be supported in getting there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's about asking good questions. What do you think about that?
I think it definitely asking good questions and listening to the answer, but also listening to the subcontext, right? Because everyone has their own motivation, their own why something is important to them. If we don't know that, then we can lead down a road that may not, produce the end result or the goal or any of those things that they actually originally wanted. And that's how we can, get into not just business failure, but relationship failure and other things. So I
Mhm.
think it's really important to ask good questions and listen, because when you're listening to those answers, it's naturally going to generate more questions, more
Yeah.
informed questions. And the more we can, get those questions out and answer them, the closer we get to the real answer, the most beneficial and productive answer for that individual to help them get what they want. And I think it's so important. Yeah. Those two halves cannot exist independent of one another, questioning and listening. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. I think listening, someone once told me we've got two of these and one of these, and we should
Yeah.
use them in that order.
Yeah.
Or another one
Yeah.
said, take the cotton wool out of your ears and put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing of those two things is listening with intent as well. Someone
Yeah.
recently said to me about not just listening, but really listening and really understanding what's being
Yeah.
said to you. You know,
Yes.
I think if we take this at the beginning of a franchise journey, the first thing is a franchisee approaching a franchisor.
Hmm.
And that is a journey of trust, but also a journey of listening to one another as well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Definitely.
that trust comes from asking a good question, intently listening, and like you say, it leads on to other questions. You need to recognize the fact that Kevin is here. Kevin is a fantastic chap, a good friend of mine. He's here in the UK. He's a specialist on video editing and production for franchise ors. So he's a very good guy, and he's coming on the show as well. So great to see you, Kevin. And like you say, it's always good to see Omar here as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it starts with those series of questions. You've got to get those questions right. You've got to understand,
Yeah.
be aligned, I suppose, is the other thing. You know.
Definitely too. I think too, when you're asking the question, the most informed questions are going to be the product of careful listening, and listening so that we're not listening to respond, we're listening to absorb. And those are really important, because a lot of times people will ask a question in a sort of leading way because they're trying to produce a response that they've already formulated an answer for. Don't do that.
Mhm.
So if you're a franchisor, the Z is your customer, right? And the franchisee is going to have their own customers, but everybody is the customer of someone else. So if you think about it from that perspective, what is it that that person is coming to you for? Is it business advice? Is it, other kind of advice? Is it, just a lay out a plan and this is what we're going to do? Like, what is it that they're coming to you for? What's the service or the activity that they're looking for? But then also, what's the backstory? What's the subcontext of that? So let's say that I want to buy into a franchise, which I actually thought about many years ago. I actually was going to open a dog bakery, and this was in the late 90s. And I had already done my business plan. I had done everything that I needed to do, and I was moving forward with that. And I the reason I wanted to open that franchise, that was important to me. I had my dog had a lot of allergies. And so I was making a lot of his food. And I found by doing that, it was very helpful for him. And so I thought, wow, this is great. I should like make this available for people in a way that's affordable for them. But if the pet care industry, just like many industries, is very big and it's growing. but everybody has a reason. They love their dogs and their cats and their birds and everything else, and they want the best for them. So that's the reason that they would come to you. So understanding why your clients, your future clients, might come to you, so that when I went to that franchise and I thought, okay, this is what I want to buy into, it ended up not being the right time for me, but it is something I have thought about, and I might do that in the future. But what's the reason? What's the subcontext that the person wants to do that? Why do they want to buy into that franchise? Maybe it's just a very profitable franchise. And why is that important to them? Because they have a family and they want to provide and they want to be able to grow their own income and do other things. So you're providing a vehicle, a mechanism for them to live a more fulfilling life. It's not just buying a thing and being, a business owner. There's a reason why you want to do that. A very human reason, getting back to the people aspect of it. So when you're able to understand that, you also are able to understand where that person might butt up against some challenges here and there, that could impact their success as a business owner, as a franchisee, like all those things. And when you can really begin to approach those things with the whole person in mind and listen from that perspective, you are going to ask amazingly helpful questions that are going to produce answers for that person in a way that probably nobody else really could have. And I think that actually can strengthen the marketing aspect of the franchisor and what they're trying to, put forth and showcase why theirs is better than their competitors in whatever way. When they're working with the full person and understanding what their journey is, what their business owner journey is going to be, and why that's important. I think that's so foundational. Again, when you factor out the human element, and business is business, absolutely, but you still have to factor in the human element, because we ebb and flow in our productivity and everything else based on how we are moving about our day, how we're feeling about it, other influences that are coming in, how we're processing those, our ability to do that. So I think that that's really important in terms of asking and listening to get to the desired end goal for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you said there really empathizes, particularly when you say getting to know that whole person, really understanding who that person is, because we're talking at the moment about that foundation, whether you're employing somebody, whether you're looking at who your customer base might be, whether you're looking at a new franchisee, or whether you're looking at a potential franchise business you're looking to invest in. These are foundation questions that, need to be asked in order to, for you to have that whole person understanding. I like that, I like that expression, a whole person understanding. Just very quickly recognize a few other people who've joined us here. We got Simon Wise, fantastic chap, all to do with franchise recruitment, been on the show before. I'm sure he'll be on again, real advocate of the show and real franchise expert. And wow, what a topic to have Simon involved in. He's an expert on people and franchising. So, great to have you here, Simon. Looking forward to your thoughts on how people are involved and, how to get the best out of people when they're in the industry. Just recognize a few other people that are here. We've got Tim Morris here. Great to see Tim. Hopefully Tim's going to be on the show as well. He's pleased to be here on the discussion. Well, we're pleased to have you here as well, Tim. Thanks for being here. We've got Johnny here. Well, Johnny, lovely chap. Spoke to Johnny yesterday, in fact. And Johnny is going to be in the show in the spring of 2024.
Nice.
And Johnny is all to do with franchise audits, but really interesting conversation with him, because it's more about franchise relationships. And it's all interrelated, all of these subjects, but it's sort of getting that jigsaw of things to fit together well. So it's great to have you here, Johnny. Really interested to hear your thoughts on people. Also, he's a football referee as well, so he's good at dealing with people situations.
Very cool.
And look who's here. It's the one and only Leslie Flowers. Well, both Gretchen and I
She's
know,
amazing. Yeah.
and it's wonderful to have you here, Leslie. You're an expert on people, and I need to say, Leslie, as well, I bought the book. I think she'll know what it means. Think and Grow Rich is the book.
Yeah.
So just one quick one from Simon. In the car, so maybe won't be able to contribute much, but actively listening. Well, look, that's what it's all about. That's what we've been talking about today, that how listening is so important. I think, we've sort of talked about the kind of the foundations here of asking really good questions. And I think that applies to all of these different aspects of franchising. I think in my view, the next bit, once you've got to know someone, it's about trying to get the best of them, trying to nurture those people, and when we're talking about leadership here, and I think, if you've got a team of people around you, whether you're a franchisee with a team of people running whatever franchise that is, or whether you're a franchisor with colleagues around you, how do you get the best of those people? What's your thoughts on how you get the best out of someone, Rich?
Yeah, and again, I will go back to that. I think for me, especially when I was running my team, and it wasn't a huge team; it was a team of 24. But for me, one of the most important things is, again, I'm going to go back to listening. I have to understand and being very, very present when that's happening, so that I understand what's important to that individual, and I can, present and create opportunities accordingly. But I also can use that information to help mitigate challenge for them, so that I understand where they may be coming up against a challenge that even they may not see. And so when you're in a leadership role, it's like eyes on, ears on all the time, because you really want to be sure that you're not, kind of having a sort of myopic view of things, this tunnel vision of here's the goal, here are the people, let's just push through. There were, again, I worked with someone on my team. I hired somebody who was a fantastic video editor, but this, other things he could do, great graphic designer, but he really loved video. And he produced things that were amazing for our company. And I wanted to be sure that I gave him a lot of those opportunities. And so understanding what was important to him and why, but also the end result, but also being able to grow those people and have them understand why it is important to keep all those other elements in the mix, even though it may not be the thing you love doing the most, how it can contribute to making you even better at the thing you love to do. And so why that's important to do, and having those opportunities and taking those opportunities. And so I think a lot of that too becomes very open, honest, transparent discussion. Being able to have hard conversations is a requirement of someone in leadership, but you have to be able to have them in a very tactful way. You have to be able to say difficult things and have difficult conversations with total empathy for the other person. You have to be able to understand the power of your communication and how to best communicate, especially when it's something delicate. Let's say if I'm, in a franchise situation and my franchise is not doing well, I have a financial strain that's happening. I need to know that my leadership up the chain, or my advisors and mentors, I can have those conversations, can get very real with me, and I can do the same with them. But that it's a safe space, like you said when you open the show, that it's a safe space to talk about these things. Because when it's not a safe space, you're not going to be open. You're not going to be as honest. You're going to hold back certain information because you're going to be fearful of what that response may be, or judgment, or other things. So knowing that it's a safe space, leadership without, agenda is incredibly important. It can also be incredibly difficult for people. So I think there's a lot of self-actualization, some other things that have to go into creating that leadership ability in somebody. Some people are naturally born with it. It's innate, others it's developed, and neither are wrong. They're both healthy as long as the end result is one that benefits everybody. And so I think that is very important in terms of helping develop people and helping people become the best professional, business owner, franchisee, whatever it is that they're working to become. Your role as a leader is to help facilitate that to everyone's mutual benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree with you there. You've got to find somebody's passion, really understand those individuals. You started off there by talking about what makes those individuals tick. And we've done some good groundwork, and now we're trying to understand what makes an individual inspired. And this applies to so many different aspects of franchising and running a business. Someone very wise once said to me, "It's not who you are, it's who you may become." He may be here today.
I like that.
This
Yeah.
Owen,
It was him.
Of course.
He's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I quote him a lot, but it's very true. It's about you take someone, you find out what their passions are, what their true passions are, and try and find a way within your model to appeal to those. And then you'll have someone who's engaged, who really wants to do the job that they're doing. And that helps with all of the other things that people ask about. How do I keep people happy? How do I employ people? All of these sorts of things. Just quickly before we continue talking, I want to make sure that we have recognized all the people here. So Simon, who will be driving soon, has come back with a really good point here. He says, trust them and give them enough rope. And I think that that's absolutely true. Especially if you discover that someone is a real innovator, who's got some really good ideas. They want to be heard. People want to be heard. They want to be recognized.
Absolutely.
It doesn't always have to cost money. But if they know that they're heard, this can even be in a franchise or franchisee situation. They even if you can't necessarily put right something immediately, to at least listen and try and come up with a plan. I think that's, and again, I was talking to Johnny recently, who's here today, and he was talking about being a referee, and it reminded me of the story he told me. And he said that sometimes being a football referee, people don't want to change your mind. They just want to be heard. They just want to sound off, maybe. And I think that that's also important. But yes, no, I agree with you there, Simon. Trust people, be open, be honest, just as you were saying there, Gretchen. So we've got Olu here. Really lovely to see Olu. He's a fabulous supporter of a huge amount of people, and great to have you here, Olu. And he's saying hello as well, which is lovely. Well, look, we talked about Don, and who appears? Don Cohen. Fantastic to have Don here. He has been the first guest on the show, and I continue to be not only a guest on his show, but a friend of Don. Lovely chap, and you need to check out Hour of Empower. It's great to have you here, Don. Looking forward to your thoughts on people, although I quote you most of the time so people will hear you. So Olu's come back here. It's an absolute pleasure. You must know that, Harvey. You're an exceptional. Oh, blimey, I'm blushing now. But you know what? That's lovely of you to say, Olu. And you know what? That's Olu getting to know me and me getting to know Olu. And that's just what we're saying. We have opportunities to get to know people on a really personal level on this platform. And certainly when we're in a business situation, and certainly when we're in a franchise situation, we can really understand people and really get the best out of people. I often think about sort of school and education. It's not about teaching different subjects. It's about identifying passion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same with employment. If you can identify and find someone's passion and then find a way to nurture that, then you
Mm-hmm.
have an engaged, happy advocate of your business or your franchise. And I think that that's what it is. Just very quickly, I want to make sure that we don't miss anybody out here. Um, we've got Stan here. That's really good to see Stan here today. I'm hoping to have a conversation with Stan. Fantastic chap, and you need to check him out. And he's given a little bit of advice here, so we'll check out that afterwards. Thanks very much, Stan. Um, Tim has put a comment here. Perhaps we can pause on this one. When I began my journey supporting franchisees, it became clear quickly that while a franchise is selling a business model contained within an operations manual, franchisees are not born equal. Each has its own reasons for investing in a franchise, and the hold on. Let me just.
I'm reading the rest of it. It says they have individual challenges and their own aspirations. Therefore, support and conversations must be tailored to the individual. Yeah.
Yes.
Restream does cut off the end of the longer one, but
Thank you.
yeah,
Well, look
yeah.
at that teamwork there.
It's a great point. It's a
It
great
is a
point.
great,
Yeah.
it is a great point, and I think it's exactly what we're saying. So, the first step is to ask good questions,
Yeah.
understand as much as you can before you know someone, and then
Yeah.
when you know someone, nurture what you do know about them,
Yeah.
and find a place for that to slot in. Let me just very quickly before we continue. We've got one more here. The legend that is Joe Caruso. Joe has a fantastic show, Franchise Chat, on a Friday, and I never miss it now. I'm a big fan, so you need to check out Joe's show. I really hope Joe will be a guest in 2024, but let's see what he's got to say. I hear that if you wear a hat, it makes you an even better leader and communicator. Is that so? Well, I'm not sure. I think it's probably what's under the hat. But look, there you go. Look, I'm still here. Don't normally take the hat off. It's only because somebody said I look like Indiana Jones, so now I'm going to wear the hat, aren't I?
I could see it. I could see that. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's great to have Joe here, and great to have everyone here. As ever, the audience drives the conversation. The reason that this show was created was to create a community that support one another, bring each other up, and understand and nurture each other as well.
Yeah.
We're talking about people, and here we are. We're a group of people that it's really important to understand each other well. So it's great to have Joe here. I think, after we've got to sort of understanding people, it's kind of where we can take people as well. What's next for them? How, in your experience, have you kind of identified how to keep people interested, and how to develop people, I suppose?
I think it goes back to getting a firm understanding of really what it is that motivates them. What are their ultimate, like what's driving their why, right? That's a big thing. Simon Sinek's, introduced that concept, I think, in modern times. And I think everybody does that. But I think understanding that and understanding where you can help them find those opportunities. And it may not be where they think the opportunity is. So I think it's also having an openness to thinking creatively about where certain things may happen. And from a leadership standpoint, it's a complete validation when you are not just listening, but you're recognizing what someone is saying, even and especially if it is in direct contrast to what you believe is a situation. Again, we have Post-it notes because of a mistake, right? And if that person hadn't thought, well, this is a mistake, this glue didn't work the way that we thought it would, but look at what it can do. If they weren't in a situation at 3M, right, where they had leadership that was open to discussing things and figuring out creative solutions and opportunities from them, we would not have the sticky note. We would not have Post-it notes. They are the product of a mistake. And what a great mistake that was. We've all benefited from that. And so I think that's really important to remember, is that, you know, we have a sort of, and everybody does this, I think it's natural, but we have sort of this idea of how things should go. This is the goal. This is what we think it should happen. And we need X, Y, and Z to happen in this order for that to happen. We have, you know, as Tim said, we have this manual, this operations manual for the franchise, and it needs to go this way. But we also need to be open to the fact that there might be an alternate way that produces some pretty great results. It may not look like it at first, but let's think about how we can take whatever's happening and find the opportunity in it and what we can do with that. And I think that goes for virtually anything in life. You're always going to have the goal, the desire, the end picture in mind that you want to get to, and you'll have your plan of how you're going to get there. And things will naturally happen. You know, if you've got your business continuity plan, or your, you know, your franchisee acquisition plan, or whatever it is, and the economy takes a turn, you have no control over that. How are you going to pivot and be nimble to address that? How are you going to help your franchisees address that in their market? Let's say that, you know, you have somebody who, I'm in the US, right? Let's say that you have someone who is in a geographic area that doesn't have the same economic stability as most of your franchisees. Or so how are you going to help that person? Because their need will be very sort of unique to them. And I think that also is a great opportunity for leadership to then come in, think about things a little bit differently, but bring in a lot of conversation. And when you talk about being heard, and you go to the people who are in the challenge, what do you think? How have you thought about, like, you know, what are your thoughts on working through this? Do you have any ideas for, you know, responding to this challenge, and seeing where that goes? And I think that's really important to be able to do. So I think from that, you know, getting really good results from people, it's a great way to also make sure that they understand that they have skin in the game, right? You value what they have to say. You value their experience. You value their knowledge, you know, and you value their experience, and you want everybody to be able to take it, digest it, and create something from it. And that is, it is a total validation of the other person. And when people talk about getting buy-in and those kind of things, I really can think of no more organic, genuine, and easier way to do that than to invite them into it, listen to them, recognize that what they have to say is valid, even and especially if it's not what you want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've made some really good points, such good points, in fact, that I keep writing them down. It's not just it's everybody who gets value from this, particularly me.
Thanks.
But I think you're absolutely right. You know, I think in terms of trying to develop people, trying to develop your franchise, you know, you've got to be adaptable. You've got to realize that opportunities don't always come from where you think they're going to come from. Leslie taught me that one, actually. You know, it's and you know what? You know, I quote people here, and that's because collaborating, communicating, being open to new ways of thinking is a great way of being. And, you know, I'm always open to that. And I think if everybody is, and I think if you can have if you can have an attitude towards the people around you and the people in your business to be adaptable, then, you know, you're going to be able to find a system that works well, you know. And also, like you say, make sure that they're valued. I just want to quickly recognize a couple of people that are here as well. Kanika was here last week, so it's great to see you again, Kanika. It says here, anybody can be a boss, but to be a leader, one has to connect with its people. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got it. You've absolutely nailed it with that very short and concise point there. Connection is what it's about,
Yes.
and that's about being heard and being understood, and being thanked. Just saying thank you is
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
job. I mean, it's so powerful,
It's
so
huge.
powerful with people.
It's huge. Yep.
When we're employees, it doesn't matter whether we're employees or whether we're running a business, we're all looking for validation in a way. All looking to understand that we've done the best job we can and that we've made a difference to something or somebody. And within that, you find that connection. But once you've connected with somebody, truly connected, we're not talking about sending a connection request here, but we truly understood them, heard and listened with intent to what they're saying, then, that's where leadership starts to come in. I never want to walk into the room and be the smartest in the room. I've said it before, and I think that it's understanding that you are surrounded by talent and by people who, if you nurture them in the right way, you can get some amazing things done together.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Sorry. You were going to say.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just going to say, I think one of the most important things that anybody can do is adopt a perspective of looking at the world and seeing the world in terms greater than ourselves. Right. And so when we do that, and nothing is ever lost by giving that out to the other people, whether it's your time, your energy, your knowledge, whatever it is. That's how you grow things. If you think about, growing a business, growing, your franchise, growing anything, it starts with giving that out to other people and then seeing what comes back, how they grow, what do they need, right? So if it's information, if it's support, if it's all those things, whatever it is, but it has to start with that interpersonal connection, that, getting to know that person, what's important to them, understanding their challenges and what they're looking for, and then how you can plug in to help them. And it benefits everybody. That mutual beneficial kind of situation happens when we all dial in together with that. And that is, it's just so important. It's a great recipe for success. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And, I think I go back to what you said about being open and honest as well. It's a trust journey and you've got to be honest. I heard a great expression the other day, and it was that it's better to have the bitterest truth than the sweetest lie. It was actually from Men in Black 3, which I watched the other night. But you know what? It still resonated, that even if the truth is hard, even if it's not something that somebody necessarily wants to hear, like you said at the beginning, there's ways in which you can say it and resonate with empathy, and it still be said, and it can still be positive, and you can still move on in a productive way. Just want to recognize a few other people before we continue. Lisa, a new name. Nice to have you with us.
She's a doll. I love Lisa. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, we know what here because of the wonderful Gretchen. But it's a hard lesson, but mistakes help us grow. Yeah, I really agree with that. You take any successful, however you want to clarify that, but you take any person who has achieved something and has been successful, it's through making mistakes. And people make mistakes all of the time. And it's okay to do that. They're just little nudges to keep us on the right path, really.
Yeah. It should also be expected. Again, nobody ever is going to start to do, or ever, like the first time you do anything, do it perfectly, whether it's owning a business or anything else. Like I was mentioning yesterday on Don's show, Nobody is born knowing how to walk, knowing what their fingers are for, knowing how to speak. We learn those things, and we learn it through trial and error. And the great thing about owning a franchise is you have the benefit of the people who've gone before you to, as Tim pointed out earlier, help create that operational manual for you, put that structure in place, understanding that you're still going to be a new business owner. You're still probably going to make mistakes, and that's okay because you have a strong network, behind you that can help you with that. But if you have great leadership in that network, they're going to be open to working with you on that, helping you through it, but also maybe everybody learning together, like, may have been a mistake, but we also may have uncovered a shortcut in a process we never thought about, right?
Mhm.
So again, there's always a gift and an opportunity in every situation. And sometimes that looking back can help reveal that, even if we don't see it in the moment.
Mhm.
So I think that's really, really important about, embracing the possibility that a mistake may happen so that it's not a catastrophe when it does. We thought it might happen, and now that it has, let's really pick it apart. Let's see what we learned in there,
Yeah.
right? And if it's just we learned how not to do it again, that's still a benefit. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think a couple of things you said there resonate with me. Growth starts with giving. I think
Yeah.
that's something that people can take as a takeaway, because if you do, it's a trust journey, and if you start by giving something, then you get something back. And even
You
if
do.
that giving is just a really good question or an adaptability, it's a really
Mhm.
important thing to remember. I think the other thing that's really important is about when you were saying about trial and error, and that's what you get for a franchise. In a franchise
Yeah.
business, any franchise business, you are buying time because someone has taken the time and made those mistakes as a human being. They've
Yeah.
done things wrong many, many times to find out how you do it right.
Yeah.
And that's what you're investing in.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly touch on something, and it's something that we're trying to do each week. And what it is we're a community here, and LinkedIn have things called collaborative articles. Now,
Mhm.
collaborative articles are AI generated, and they ask for contributions from people. And you put a contribution on there, and if that is liked, you get that top voice badge. Now, the badges don't really matter, but what really matters is it's an important way to collect together a community's opinion on important topics.
Yeah.
What I am experimenting with doing is by having a look at a collaborative article, okay, and we have one right here. And what it is it says, how can you increase team engagement in a franchise?
Mhm.
These articles are separated out into a few different things here. And I'm going to pause on this one, which is recognize and reward your team.
Mhm.
What I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this each week because I want to give people the opportunity to put their feedback into this. So
Mhm.
this one says, recognize and reward your team. Recognition and reward are powerful motivators for team engagement. When you acknowledge and appreciate your team's efforts and achievements, you boost their morale, satisfaction, and loyalty. You can recognize and reward your team in various ways, such as sending thank you notes, giving shout outs, sharing success stories, offering incentives, or hosting events. You can also create a recognition and reward system that is
Mhm.
consistent and transparent across your franchise network. And that allows your team members to nominate and celebrate each other. Now, what I want to do today, if that's okay now, I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to see if this works. So I am going to put that as a comment. Now, so this gives people a little bit of time, but have a look at that as a comment. And if you've got any ideas, both now on the replays, whenever you watch this, put it in the comments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collate together people's views on that particular point, and I'll put them into the collaborative article in speech marks with your name afterwards, because it's about recognizing each other. And a collaborative article is only truly collaborative when other people join in. So
Exactly.
please share that if that was okay. And I just wanted to, before we continue, I'm looking at the time. I like to make sure that we sort of finish up in 45 minutes to an hour, but
Yep.
I recognize a few other people that are here. Well, that's Leslie again, and she's talking about the fact that I've quoted something from Think and Grow Rich, which is that opportunities and things come from unexpected places. So great to have that. We've got a LinkedIn user here. It'd be great to know who you are, but trust is so important both ways with the franchise relationship.
Yep.
I couldn't agree with that more. You know, I often talk about the fact that it's a trust relationship, and it always is. You know, it always is. And whatever franchise you're in, it's about developing a way in which you can take someone down that trust journey, however you do that. Lisa has come back with honesty is the best policy. Well, it absolutely is. It really is. However hard sometimes it is to say whatever you've got to say, ways of saying things, like you said, Gretchen, but it's always the best policy. Let's just look what Leslie said. Great successes begin without knowing how they would do it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Touched on that. Completely agree. Joe said. Very good, Joe. He's got one as well, by the way.
Nice.
He doesn't tell people how to get it. It's great to have you here, Joe, and I'm looking forward to Friday. But yeah, I mean, as I say, we're sort of coming towards the end now, Gretchen. I mean, sort of your final thoughts after our discussion on how you would categorize getting the best from people in that leadership role.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, again, listening to ask more informed and beneficial questions, but also drilling right back into that trust factor. You cannot have leadership without trust, and you cannot build trust without honesty. And you can be completely transparent, honest, and build trust with careful communication so that you are taking everyone else's position and perspective into consideration before you deliver your own. And I think that's really important when it comes to leadership and getting, helping everybody, not getting the most from them. I don't even like the way that sounds, but helping everyone achieve the best and highest good that they can for themselves and the greater enterprise. I think that's absolutely fundamental. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I could only add to that I think that whatever your values are as an entity or as a company, and that's often within sort of a marketing PowerPoint, but if you truly live those values, and if that comes through in how you engage with your people and how you get the best from people, I think that's really important. But I think that you've absolutely nailed it there by saying that it's about listening. And I think if there was one word to remember from today, it would be listening with intent as well.
Yes.
Understanding the why. And I think if that's all right, I think that's where we're going to finish.
All right.
Just very quickly before we go, next week, we're having a week off with the franchise show because it's my wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So I will be celebrating that next week, but in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be back with Gary. And we are going to be potentially talking about franchise groups, and he has a group of 200,000 members. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we're going to do with that conversation. But very cool. Now, I thank you all for being here. I thank you, Gretchen, for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation, and we will see you soon.